Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Day After Podcast. I'm here with Haley.
Hello!
And my name is John, and today we're tackling the 2012 Nickelodeon series Avatar: The Legend of Korra, created and produced by Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko.
So I told John when we were going into this is one of the weirdest cartoon shows that I am part of the fan base of. Because this series is very, very divisive among Avatar fans. Some people think it's great, it was a great direction to go. Some people think it's an evil virus of Satan.
Now that was I knew pander is not the right word, but I knew that when you were pitching the show to me, you were choosing your words extremely poignantly, like a high school politics teacher who's trying his best not to spin politics and current events.
Yeah, I didn't want to push you down one of those roads or another. And I could see where some people get annoyed. You fell in love with the characters of the original Avatar. You want to see what they're up to and what they're doing and everything, and how we build this world that ultimately ends up in Legend of Korra. Some people think it was too big a time jump. And, some people are great. They're like, Aang's story is done, Aang's story is over, and we need to move on with something else. I like this world, and we need a new set of characters to fall in love with, and I totally get that too.
I don't mean to be partisan, but I feel like this series is known for being set in concrete chunks. In this case, 13 episode chapters or books or what have you, and the other one is even though they're bigger, there are fewer of them. These books, these sections of things that are focused on self-actualizing this main character. So I don't think that a continuation of those characters would have been interesting or fulfilling.
Yeah, and I kind of see that too, and I'm a firm believer in if you don't have stuff to do with these characters, then you shouldn't try to force a series out of nothing.
And I
feel like that's kind of how the creators took Korra.
You definitely did. Even on a micro level, throughout the series, this is a decent-sized cast, but not an unwieldy one.
Yeah.
There are a lot of characters involved, and you pointed out really well as we finished wrapping up the second half of Season 4 that if a character's not involved, he's not here. They're like, say, just for example, 5 episodes go by without Mako.
Yes. Yeah, because they're in Season 4, they're in the Earth Kingdom. Mako's not involved, he stays in Republic City, and that's fine. We don't get, little flashbacks of, what's Mako doing with his life?
It would have been a time waster.
Zany adventures.
They've said, Michael and Brian have, when they were producing this, that they wanted deliberately to cut out filler episodes.
Yes.
For the benefit of more streamlined story-driven seasons.
And that's nice because it shows that you can develop characters using the main plots, not just using filler episodes. I mean, filler episodes are there not just to fill space, but to add some depth to certain characters. Avatar had a lot of them.
And I don't think that they could have pushed filler episodes because at some point they had trouble getting Nickelodeon to sign off on this because there was a point where they suspended production. And the reason the Nickelodeon executives gave was, quote, girls will watch a show about boys will not watch a show about girls.
Yeah, that is true.
And they got them to change their minds because they did some test screenings and the boys in the audience said, no, we don't really care that she's a girl.
Yeah, and that's come more to light with recent shows. But we've talked for 3.5 minutes now and not actually told you our opinion of the show. In my opinion, Korra is different, and I like that it's different, but it's not better.
So you say different, and I think that you kept saying different, not better, but I want to know if you have, I don't claim that you have a bead on the fan base, I just want you to give your best opinion here. Some people would be upset at the show and find it to be the inferior show because they wanted more time spent on Aang and Zuko and
right,
Katara.
yeah, that's what I said. That's kind of what I said at the beginning.
But is there a stylistic reason why it didn't gel with people?
I can't speak for I'm not going to speak for the fan base because I can't speak
fan base
for
comments, please. We want to hear.
Go for it. Share your opinions. A lot of people are yelling. I knew when this dropped on Netflix, a lot of people on the internet were yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Over what this is, but I can't say their opinions. I can only say mine. So my issues, it just comes to, for me, for a mathematics equation, I have more issues with Korra, the series, than I have with Avatar: The Last Airbender series. And I did like the age up, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, all the characters are children.
Oh, they are less children. They're more like on the verge of adults here.
Yeah, they're quite young adults to older teenagers, except for the Airbender kids.
Okay.
So that was interesting, but I don't like the spirits, number one. I find pretty much everything involving the spirits, and whenever they have to fight the spirits, and we'll dissect each book here in a little bit. But I don't find the spirits that interesting. I do like the characters. I like fewer of them, if that makes sense.
I don't mean to disregard your opinions. I just want to make sure that when you say you don't like this for the spirits, you're not. It's that.
Well, it's not what I said. But
okay, yeah, but I don't want the argument to become, I don't like this car because the sound system isn't what I want it to be.
Well, no. If you let me continue, I was.
Oh no, please do. I
to...
apologize. Please continue.
Yeah. So I don't really like the spirits. I don't really like Korra. I find her hot-headed. I find her she's got a very grating personality. And watching her just kind of, especially in the beginning shows, watching her just kind of bully her way through life was really, really frustrating to me. But I love a lot of the other characters. Love Tenzin. Even though he's voiced by J.K. Simmons, who is now, thanks to Milo, forever a Nazi in my head.
Moving on.
Because of Oz. But yeah, the plot lines of the books, which we should probably go into what each one of those are. Like Avatar: Last Airbender, Korra is divided into 4 sections. First season deals with Amon and his non-bending coalition.
Mm-hmm.
The second one deals with Korra's uncle and trying to rip open parts of the spirit world. Guess which one I don't like as much. The third one involves a group of 4 criminals who are each of whom have a different element who are trying to kill Korra. And the fourth one involves a fascist terrorist, Kuvira, who is trying to kill Republic City and liberate the Earth Kingdom.
Voiced by Robin Williams' daughter.
Yes, Zelda Williams.
Yes, this is going to be really interesting because I feel like, not firmly, but you seem to want to discuss substance, which is a totally valid way. Yeah. I'm more convinced about the style because when you said that people were divisive, I thought it might have something to do with the much more modern aesthetic and among other things, but...
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like, what do you mean by style? Because animation-wise, this is very similar. No,
that's not just animation. But when I discuss, like, with regards to style and form, this series is aggressively monster of the season.
Yeah,
and
which is fine.
And it really pointedly goes that way. It's not like early, say, Sailor Moon, where it's monster of the week, but only until we get going. Or like any shonen. Yeah. It's not a crutch until we get the main plot rolling. This is like aggressively contained. Amon, spirits. What the fuck is the wind guy's name? Zahir and Kuvira. That is really good. If you're asking for our combined opinion, I would say if you're going to rank the seasons, I would put Amon first.
Yes. That's so good.
Then Zahir from season 3.
Yes.
Then Kuvira.
Yeah.
Then the spirits.
Yep.
Okay. That's where our opinion there is. What can I pick a next point? What is going on with Korra and Asami? That as an outside watcher for several years when this aired between 2012 and 2014, I was in college. Adults that had TVs are like, I can still watch kid stuff, and all people could talk about was this. I thought it was a lesbian relationship, and maybe you could expound a little more on that.
Well, what do you want me to expound on? They have a relationship.
Silly me. I was waiting for.
What, you wanted them to like go right into oral sex on screen? Like, what the fuck?
Okay, I was expecting some sort of like kiss or something, but then I realized in the very final episode, as they are holding hands walking into the spirit portal that they've just made, I just realized, wait, what am I asking for? This is a Nickelodeon show. You're not gonna get it. All you can get is extremely heavy subtext. Yeah,
Nickelodeon almost didn't sign off on this because it starred a girl. Can you imagine if it started a lesbian relationship?
Yeah, and so much so. Maybe that's just because that's what I saw. Because I hear pretty girls, I'm like, yeah. But that is so much less of it. It's just what floats to the surface, and that I pick up as an outside observer.
And what I love about the relationships handled in the show, the relationships between these characters are the best part of the show. every relationship that fails, Mako, has a reason why it fails. There's a reason Mako and Korra don't work. There's a reason Mako and Asami don't work. There's a reason that Bolin and that starlet he dates for a little while doesn't work.
Oh, yeah!
And, there's reasons for these things. And the people who are together, like Tenzin and his wife, in the end, VARRICK and Julie, there's a reason they are together. And so the relationships that you have here are developed very, very well. And again, because you only have to do it through subtext, Korra and Asami's has to be a little bit more under the radar. But what is there is good.
Well, when it's under the radar, I think your writing has to do more of the heavy lifting, which is a testament to Brian and Mike. Which, good job. I don't know why I was waiting for some sort of heavy finale symbolism, but what I got at the end was impressively subtextual. Not like it's hard to do, but I appreciate that they did it well.
Yeah, and I love John sitting next to me on the couch in every other episode, especially in season 1. I'm like, oh, Mako.
Here's the okay.
Let me make my point here before you say anything. I love how Brian and Michael treat Mako like a sack of meat in front of the fan base. Like, oh, he's the hot firebender. He's got to end up with the main chick. No. And they go out of their way to show you why this doesn't work.
Is Mako the John Tucker of this series?
No, I would not.
Okay. Let me just be clear. We start this series, and my wife, right away as he's on screen, just, oh, Mako.
Oh, Mako.
And for two
I'm remembering everything that happens.
For all of season 1, my wife's just like, oh, Mako, you
silly bitch.
You didn't say you silly bitch, but I was like, what's Mako gonna do? Is he gonna do some divisive thing? No, he's just gonna be a fuckboy.
No, he's not a fuckboy, and that's the point.
Yes, okay, but
he's there as a love interest, and the show makes the argument that, like, no, a love interest is still a character.
That's neat, but they don't do anything with him.
Yeah, they do.
I guess
he becomes a cop and he does the thing that most girls have to do in other shows. The girls have to prove, like, oh, I don't need no man, I can exist on my own, not as a love interest. Mako has to do that.
That is okay. Here's maybe where not my problem. It's a good show. Mako is the straight man to a lot of Bolins and VARRICKs out there. So when he's doing things by himself, like the cop stuff, it can feel a little vacuous, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Mako's not going to be everybody's speed. Hell, Bolin and VARRICK and all the other characters, they're not going to be everybody's speed. But it is interesting. Again, those relationships are what's really powerful. There's a lot of adults in this show, like a lot of older adults.
Okay.
Sue and Lin Beifong, who are Toph's girls, they're quite old.
Tenzin and wife.
Yep, Tenzin and his wife. Korra's parents. Again, all of the antagonists are adults.
I'm all right with that.
I
know I'm not judging you. Just
yeah, it's and again, that's something you didn't really see in Aang. Aang was kind of these kids taking on these insurmountable beings of chaos. Whereas in Korra, these are not just, Korra and her friends going through this, but the adults dealing with life's everyday challenges as well, which I think is really cool and not something a lot of kid shows do.
Talking about personal, unique viewing experiences for me, my mind bust up laughing because halfway through season 1, they introduced metal bending, and I'm like, oh, I'll bet Bolin wants to be a metal bender, but he fucking sucks at it later.
Yeah, good job, John.
I spit a plot point. Just for the people out there, the animation for this was outsourced to a Japanese and a South Korean production studio.
Oh.
And because it takes 10 to 12 months per episode, they stack them so tightly so that by the time season 2 was almost finished production, they were getting to work storyboarding on season 4 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So they had quite... I do like that it doesn't feel slapdash in that way, that they have... it feels like they have something they're going for, and there's no big twist.
Right. And it's not... Aang's story is very much kind of a wandering journey. much more like an Odyssey, where, as we stated earlier, Korra's story is there's a bad guy, he has this belief system, here's why it's wrong, let's stop him.
Quick shout out to the voice actors. I want to quick.
Steve Bloom as Amon is amazing.
Okay, I wasn't gonna do that first, but let's get it out of the way. Just one-off characters. Steve Bloom as Amon, the season 1 equalist, really good. Steve Bloom. I don't need to say Steve Bloom did a good job.
He fucking needs you to tell.
He motherfucking Steve Bloom. Kavira's voiced by Zelda Williams, who I didn't know before. The daughter of Robin Williams. She's in other stuff. I'm an ignorant plebe, so there you go. The one that gets me is J.K. Simmons, who... How did they get him on to do this? I mean, he can say yes to ideas, and maybe he had a high... He's a professional. You know what? He plays the mentor to Korra, Tenzin,
yes.
Who, by the way, if we're keeping score at home, I'm blown away they didn't kill him throughout the series.
Yeah, that was kind of amazing.
I was season 3, they had a chance to do it, and they didn't.
Yeah, and Tenzin goes through some shit, and I like how round he is. You know, sometimes he's funny, sometimes he's an asshole, sometimes he's like, oh, Dad. But he is Korra's mentor, and he has wisdom to pass on to her, and while he does so, he learns things in the process. And his family is hilarious.
Well, he's round because he's bald.
Right.
That's a joke.
That's of course.
Moving into our next point and ending our last point, I have to geek out here while we move on to our next point. Bolin is voiced by PJ Byrne, who, if you're keeping score at the Johnny Fan Club, plays that asshole perv character from Final Destination 5. So I just imagine his face and Bolin. I'm like, no, that's pretty much the same character. not a perv, but Bolin is he's clearly taking the Sokka space. Yes,
yeah, but Bolin is the much needed comic relief. And if that's done well, I don't mind those characters. Like, Sokka's comic relief worked well because he was also a badass. And Bolin definitely has his badass moments. Less so than Sokka, I would argue.
They both passed the bar. I'm not going to pick point one over the other.
No.
Sokka was notably pettier.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bolin's more of like a nice player because I guess he came from a bad background.
Yeah, and it's... Yeah, I find his comic relief is well handled. I understand why in the show it needs to be there, but Bolin is Nickelodeon's seasoning on this show.
You know, you're gonna play a little bit with us, and I don't know who invented each character, but that was a really good job. David Faustino as Mako did a good job.
Yes. Who is the guy who plays Napoleon Dynamite, who has that one...
Oh, Jesus Christ! Guys, in season 3, on their the first half of season 3, they're going to find new new airbenders because the portal is opened and airbending is spilling out. And,
yes.
And on their way to go canvas to look for new airbenders, Korra stops at somebody who is claimed that their son is an airbender now, and he comes up from the basement to say, "Dad, Mom, what do you want?" And I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to be a shithead, but I'm like, I am smelling a John Heder.
And there he is.
I was like, I'm smelling the voice of Napoleon Dynamite, and in the credits, I got him. He's there.
That's him.
Also, I'm sorry, we're still doing voices. Eska is voiced by Aubrey Plaza, who can just do whatever she wants.
Yeah, and it's interesting how both Mako and Bolin go through a lot of failed relationships. And I like that argument that just because you are a guy in an anime doesn't mean you are entitled to pussy.
Yeah, that is better for Mako.
Well, and Bolin, Bolin dates 3 different girls.
Yes, okay. Yeah, and they learn more about what they are. And that's really nice. I like that. I'm going to bounce off because I didn't come in with a thesis because this is my blind watch. Haley's seen this before.
Right. Do you want to move into final thoughts, or do you have more?
I have more.
You have more points to
okay.
make. Okay.
Fucking VARRICK, what the fuck? What the fuck is he? I don't know what... He shows up in season, 2? 1? 2? Whatever.
No, I think he's there the whole show. I think he does show up in season 1.
But he shows up very, very early, and...
he's more of a plot point in season 2.
He's really funny, and then he's
funny.
He's still there. I do have one bad point. I did not like that he appears to be a bad guy for a couple episodes.
Yeah, and that's more of that doesn't go anywhere, so I'm more willing to give that a pass. He's not a bad guy because he's working for the evil guy. He's a bad guy because he wants to make money.
Okay, yeah. So but they played the evil tone. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? It was really good. But John Michael Higgins, fantastic job.
Yes.
What a crazy asshole every day.
Oh my god, I cried at their wedding. I did.
I would have also. Oh god, what is he doing every fucking time? Shitting out of platypus money.
He is definitely a chaotic neutral.
Chaotic, yeah.
If you're gonna put him on an alignment chart, he's full on chaotic.
Should we even
neutral.
try an alignment chart?
No.
Gosh, I have no other extraneous voice actors. Can we? I want to know your opinion. If that's okay. I want you to pretend I haven't watched the series. I want you to break down why season 2 is so bad in your head.
Again, I don't like the spirits. I feel like they spend too much time on them without communicating a lot. The bad guy is really fucking boring, and I don't like normally I'm all for like, the dig into lore and figure out where do these avatar powers come from. That whole shit with Juan and the lion turtles and, traveling around the spirit world.
That was ballsy to do a 2-part episode to explain a backstory.
Yeah, and, normally I'm all for that shit, but I finally get what you felt about Five Nights at Freddy's. I was like, I didn't need that. I didn't need to know that Korra has some weird kite monster living in her, and we need to make Avatar the Hedgehog to have the final bad guy for season 2. It's trying a lot of weird things, and I'm always up for trying new things, but they did not work for me.
Yeah. And I really like Amon, I really like Kovira. I saw where they were going and I wanted to explore that more. Between the really heavy I guess we'll call them ideology seasons, I really just wanted that the Dark Masters of Zahir and the other 3.
Yes.
They played that up so good, and what played up, what I mean is they don't meet 5-6 episodes, and you're like, by that time they've killed a lot of people.
Yeah, and I love how those bad guys have a camaraderie with each other. They did what they did very well with Avatar: The Last Airbender with Zuko, and that. No, these bad guys are characters, just like love interests. They need to interact with each other. They need to have their own thoughts and feelings and wants and desires. And Zahir has this like awesome like meta chaotic Buddhist mentality of chaos is the natural order.
Yeah.
But God, Amon's is so good. Amon's was the first one where he presented a problem, and I was like, okay, yes, there. I have an actual issue with how this world operates. Why are there some benders and non-benders?
Yeah.
And how do non-benders feel about that?
I'm glad they tackled that first and not later when it was like, oh, we need another subplot. There you go. I am going to present final thoughts first, if that's okay.
Yes.
When this series wrapped, we had just rented our first apartment together. It was an itty bitty 1-bedroom, and I remember laying in bed and my wife watching this on some streaming service, and I remember being baffled because you asked me, what do you remember about this? I'm like, I remember the fucking ferret, and I remember the entire series based on the one episode I saw being about sports.
Oh, yeah, pro bending, which is another issue I have with this show, that pro bending, super huge deal for one season, and then you never hear about it again, ever.
You don't even hear about it. Well, that's... I wanted more. I don't know. I guess I want... Go watch a sports show, John.
Yeah.
It's good. Also, Jeff Bennett here, the voice of Johnny Bravo, made another house working on this show. He is a lot of different characters. You may know him as Johnny Bravo or Dexter's the laboratory's dad.
Yep, and he introduces every episode as the radio announcer.
Yeah, he's did a very good job. As a whole, I do like this. I won't say that I prefer it because the original Avatar's too far back in my memory.
So again, I'm of the firm belief Korra is different, and I like different. In my opinion, it's not better. Korra has a lot of really high valleys, or really high peaks and really low valleys, where Avatar, I think, is a better show overall. I like certain chapters more than others. I like certain chunks of this more than others. But a lot of its decisions, I appreciate that they were made. They don't work for me, and that's fine. I know they work for a lot of people. I do think this was a good direction for the show to go, and just because it didn't work for me, definitely doesn't make it a bad show. There's parts of it I really, really like, and there's parts of it I really, really don't.
Yeah, honestly, for a follow-up, like, you know how shows don't have extra seasons, they just name another sub show based on the same universe.
Yeah.
The quality of these two, it's very rare for the quality to be that close. You can still have a preference. I would venture to think that there are more original fans than the sequel fans, but that's neither here nor there. I do want to hear what you guys feel about this. I just watched this myself, so I don't know how the fan base feels. I didn't make the mistake I did with the original Avatar where I jumped right on the subreddit. I said I'm staying away this time.
Yeah.
But thank you guys very much for joining us on the Day After podcast and The Legend of Korra by Brian and Mike. I won't say your last names again. It's really good.
Yeah.